So what is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel once again. You know I appreciate having you here. Welcome back to the channel, back to what we're here for, and that's a first impressions review of this. Yes, I've got another bike for you guys, a first impressions review, and that is of the mighty little Sinnis SMR Supermoto 125 Apache. I'm not sure which order that goes in, whether it's Apache, SMR 125, Supermoto, whether it's Apache, yeah, anyway, do you get what I mean? And we've got this little beauty for 2 whole weeks, so I can give you a proper review on this one. This one is going to be a first impressions review. It got dropped off yesterday just before work, so I've only done a 10-mile commute on it, and I have to say commuting, it was pretty good, but I expected that because it's quite slim, slick and small, so if it doesn't do that, then there's no point in it being so small, is there? But today we are heading out to Route 1066 Cafe. We're going to have a little bit of fun, put it through its paces and see what I feel about it on the first stretch of its legs, so to speak. I'm using this little GPS system by Beeline. It was sent to me a while ago and I haven't had the chance to use it, so I'm using it on this because it doesn't come with any USB power. So what I'm using is the Beeline Moto app, which is on my phone, which is running in a pocket, and then this little thing that comes with it, and it doesn't drain the battery on your phone because you're not using the screen all the time. So that's the theory. Saves your phone and you've got a little bit of GPS. It is a bit strange and takes some getting used to, and that's because there's no voices in your head. I've got the Bluetooth on, but I've got no voices in my head. Well, I have, but they don't speak to me about GPS things, but that's a issue I've got to take up with the doctors. But it's cool. So before I get on with this little ride, I'll just explain a little bit about this. This is about the Sinnis, trust me. It is about this little first impressions ride of this, but the little GPS system, how it works, it's got this arrow and it tells me 1.6 miles and then I need to do something. This little dot on the side, I don't know if you can see that, this little dot here will tell me in 1.6 miles I need to do a left. Not sure what the little bits at the top are. I think that tells you how far towards the dot you're going or your next turn. And so far so good. On the app you can actually select no motorways, which obviously I've done on a 125. So hopefully it will get us to Route 1066 Cafe and we're going to have some fun. Right, now back to the Sinnis and this little first impressions review. A little bit about myself. I am 6'2", I am 18 stone or just under, wide in the shoulder, long in the legs, and that's just so you guys get the idea of how I get on with the ergonomics, etc, etc. Big shout out to Sinnis for giving me this bike, dropping it off and picking it up in 2 weeks. Thank you very much, really appreciate that. Saves me a lot of time with faffing around. That's why I don't really have a lot of bikes to review apart from the Hondas, because they're around the corner. Most motorcycle manufacturers do not drop off, so thank you very much, Sinnis, for that. Very kind of you. I'm a working man, you see, so I bring you these reviews out the love and the goodness of my heart. And they're based down on the south coast in a place called On The Wheel. So I shall leave the website to Sinnis down there, also On The Wheel down there, and I'm also going to leave you guys the full specification for this bike down there as well. For one simple reason, I forgot to look it up before I left the house. I was going to do some research, but if you've been on this channel before, you know I rarely do that. I just put the keys in, go, and let's see what happens. Right, first port of call is I want to find a petrol station, so hopefully there is one here. There should be. It's a little bit of a town. This has got auto reroute on as well, so that's good. So if I take a little bit of a detour, it should auto reroute me back to the desired effect. Also with this, you've got a straight line mode. I don't know when you would use that, but basically it puts the pin where you need to go and the arrow would just constantly point at that area or that direction, and you just keep going that way as far as you can till you get there. You make your own way there basically, but it'll always pinpoint where you're going. I don't know, don't understand it. It's also got a bicycle feature as well, so you can switch between bicycle and motorcycle. I am going to have to pull over in a minute and take the phone out of my pocket and look for petrol stations, because obviously I've got no screens. I'm faffing a bit now, aren't I? King of faff, fafftastic. Right, as I'm on my way to the petrol station, let's get on with the ergonomics. And they're not bad. Soon as I'm a big lad, big chappage, it's not bad at all. Seat to bars to peg ratio is pretty good. It's obviously not as tall as a full-on supermoto like a KTM, that sort of thing, and not too high. It's quite a small, low-seated supermoto, so don't be scared of the height. It is pretty comfortable in the triangle I've got, but the seat is not that comfortable. They've gone full supermoto off-road with this and made the seat pretty uncomfortable. I'm hoping over the 2 weeks with my weight on it, that will bed in a little bit and make it slightly more comfortable. Because at the moment, yeah, it's not luxurious, let's put it that way. It feels nice and comfortable to ride, as in the way it's set up for me with my legs, my arms, etc. I'm not talking about the comfort of the seat here, I'm just talking about the triangle. So that's pretty good. Mirrors, they're not too bad, they're not the greatest. I am a big lump, I've said that, so I can see mainly my arms, but because it's got this little teardrop effect on the outside, you get a little bit more vision. If they were just round, I probably wouldn't see much, but they give this little bit here, just gives me a little bit behind to see, so that's good. Right, while we're on the A21, we'll give it a flat out run. I'm in 5th, going downhill now. On the flat, 50 was the most I could get. Going downhill now, 56, 57, 59, 60. Oh, we are buzzing underneath these. We are buzzing. 62, 63, 64, 65, 66. Come on, you little beauty. 67. We'll put it this way, don't take it on the motorway. I wouldn't take it on the motorway, but I wouldn't take any 125s on the motorway, simply because if you don't have enough power to just get out of trouble, I find it a little bit dangerous, and you will get bullied slightly, especially by bigger vehicles. But I'm still looking for petrol, but I'm not sure actually what's going on. While we're here, a little downside is this petrol gauge. I've noticed it. When I left, it had 4 bars, and we've gone from 4 bars to 3 bars to 2 bars to it flashing, and we're back at 3 bars now. Before I started this speed run, it was flashing, telling me I needed fuel. Now it's back at 3, so I think the fuel gauge is a little bit temperamental. There we go, we dropped down to 2 now. I think it's a little bit temperamental, so I am going to look for some fuel in a bit. I think I'm going to back off a little bit. She's vibrating my nether regions, although some might call that pleasant. I'm not feeling the love for it at the moment. But when you're down in the lower revs, I know we're not coming onto the engine at the moment, when you're down in the lower revs, just cruising around town and riding it normally, down low, though it hasn't got a lot of shove, it's very, very smooth. You do get a little bit of a kick around 5,000-6,000 revs, and when I say kick, I'm being very generous. I mean, that's when the power kicks in, that's where the usable power is, and that bit's quite nice. When you're I've got to stop saying things like blatting, going fast. This is a 125. For this, when you're having fun, if you keep it in that sweet spot, that's where the fun is to be had, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Right, anyway, back to the bike. Brakes, a little bit wooden. The back brake's fine, you can lock it up, no problem. The front brake, very much lacking in feel, that needs to bed in. Again, check the video I do after 2 weeks to see if that beds in, because at the moment it's a little bit wooden, lacking a bit of feel. It will stop you, but you need a little bit of brute force to do it. It does come with braided hoses as standard, which is a nice touch, so you might just need to change the brake disc or pads, get a better quality setup there, and that will probably give you a little bit more bite and feel. But yeah, I'll reserve judgment on that until I've ridden it for more than I have. I've only done 37 miles on it in total, so they need to bed in. Same with the gearbox, while we're talking about bedding in, it's a little bit clunky at the moment. It's a good gearbox, but you can feel it's a little bit notchy, it's a little bit new. That will loosen up over the 2 weeks, I'm sure. But at the moment, it's a good gearbox. It does what it's supposed to do, goes up and down the gears. The only problem I've had is I found it's hard to get into neutral from first, easy from second down into neutral, but a little bit temperamental going from first to neutral. But again, that should all bed in the 2 weeks, so make sure you check back for the 2 week final review, final thoughts video that I do at the end of this. because this is just the first impressions, and things can change, and things do change quite a lot once you live with a bike for a little bit of time. While we're talking about the engine, I believe, again, I haven't read the specifications, but I believe that it's derived from a Suzuki, I'm not going to name the model, but it's an old Suzuki 125 engine, so the blueprint of it should be tried and tested, and in theory should be pretty reliable. Again, only time will tell on reliability, and that's all bikes. Sorry about the boring route. It's this app. It's just taken me on pure A roads, and this is the A road down to where I'm going. It's not like the other app I use, the Kalimoto app. It hasn't got all the twisty back roads or something like that. I might put the Kalimoto app on the way back and just listen to it in my ear. I won't be able to see it, but I'll be able to hear the voice instructions, and that will take us back on a nicer route than this. But this does give us an impression of what it's like on fast dual carriageways and big A roads, and it will do it. It will sit here at 60. This is a 70-mile-an-hour road. We're doing 58 miles an hour. It's quite buzzy. It doesn't feel strained, but it feels buzzy. There's a lot of vibration coming through my backside. I mean, some people will pay good money for this, not myself. But if you're into this sort of thing, it'll make a great sex toy. And that's probably why I don't get more bike reviews than other people. My analogies, they're not quite journalistic. It's telling me we've got 6.7 miles to the next roundabout, slight right, second turn in. So this little bit of information is pretty good. I would use this on bigger bikes. I probably wouldn't use this on 125s, not unless I'm doing a short distance. If I know I'm going to avoid roads like this, then yeah, no problem, I use it, like in London, that sort of thing. But for going on trips like this, it's not the greatest. I would avoid roads like this if I had this bike, unless I was running particularly late, then I would definitely avoid. See, now I'm going back to flashing now. I was on 3 bars just now. Right, I'm going to shoot off here, pull over, and then have a little look to see if we can find a petrol station. I was like, look, this has gone back up to 2 now. This is what now it's gone flashing again. Oh, I don't know. That's because I'm going uphill. You only run out of petrol when you go uphill. If you're going downhill constantly on this bike, it's always full. Right, we've just filled up. £6.76, 5.8 litres. We're now eventually at the full. The petrol gauge did a weird thing. It went from full back to flashing, and then slowly went up to full again. That is a little bit disconcerting in the sense that I now don't trust it. Also, when I was filling up, the fuel filler cap, once it comes off, is just a hole into the petrol tank. You know, like on modern ones where you get the unleaded, you get the little small metal bit inside, so you can only put the unleaded bit in. It's got that, but this is just a hole, so you fill it up. It's a bit old school. It reminds me of growing up when I was a kid. So I don't know whether it's supposed to have one in there and they've just left it out because this was rushed to me, or it's just the way it is. If it is just the way it is, it's not a problem. You're just going to have to get used to it, and don't bloody put diesel in it. Right, so we're going to crack on with this journey. As you can see, we are in traffic, so let's see if we can sneak around the outside and go down. Let's do some filterage. Right, let's do a sneaky here. But this is the beauty of little bikes. You need to look. As I was saying, this is the beauty of little bikes. You can sneak around. Sometimes too sneaky. Right, anyway, back to the bike. I'm liking it. I'd like to take it on some twisty roads, see what it handles like. But so far it's pretty good. The suspension is very, very firm, which I like. Being a big lump, I didn't want soft suspension. I didn't want to get on it and it just compresses into basically rubbing the back tyre on the fender. This holds up pretty good, and being a supermoto, you want it in that, guys. You want a bit of a harsher suspension, let's say, so you can throw it around the bends. I'll tell you what, it is really nice and light. Being a 125, it is nice and light. You can chuck it around easily, and I am an advocate of small bikes. You know that if you've been on my channel for a while. You will know that I do like a little bike. I find them fun. It's always nice to have a bike you can just basically cane everywhere you go. It makes you feel good. I mean, you can even go around town, have fun, and you're still doing under the speed limit. You will need momentum for hills though. Yeah, I'm on. Dashboard area. This is supposed to be a first impressions review, not a jolly up, mate. Not a jolly up. Get on with it. Right, dashboard. I'm sorry about this. I was going to say they're usually more professional than this, but they're not. This is how it goes. I'm a bloke that rides bikes. I love riding bikes, and you get what you're given. So, dashboard, it's a black LCD on a blue background, or pink if you go under certain lights. It's really weird, but it's all quite clear. It's got the numbers in the middle telling you your speed. It's got a fuel gauge, rev counter, clock, gear indicator. It's got a trip, an odometer. It's got a lap timer. I don't know why it's got a lap timer, but it has. And it's all very clear, concise. Indicators you can see when they're on. It's got idiot lights around the outside. National speed limits, let's go. This is a 60. I mean, we can keep up with traffic, so that's the main thing on a 125 is, can you keep up with traffic? And the answer is yes, because the traffic's doing 50, so we can. On roads like this, these bikes are fine. As I said, a little bit buzzy, but it's still good fun. It does what it's supposed to do, and for the price, I'm not actually sure what the price is, but I know it's bloody cheap. I'll put it on the screen. I mean, a 125 supermoto for that sort of money, brand new, in your garage or in your drive or even in your bed next to you, depending on how much you love it, is a fantastic thing. I've got to get this bike out onto some real twisty roads, some real fun. I've got to bed these tyres in. As I said, they're not a brand I've ever heard of, so I really want to bed them in nicely, get rid of all the shiny, slick stuff on them before I start trusting them. I think that's the word. Right, so what have we covered? We covered the ergonomics, we covered the mirrors, we've covered the dashboard. All the lights are LED, I believe. Oh, for those of you that like a brick wall, I know you do on my channel, there's a lovely one. Right, let's go up here. Anyway, back to where we were. I do get sidetracked a lot, you might have noticed that. I mean, now normally I'd be like, oh no, there's a van going up, but we're on a 125, so shouldn't be too much of an issue as long as I keep to the speed limit. Yeah, on roads like this is what you want this bike for. Little roads like this, you can have fun, and you're not even breaking the speed limit. This is a 60-mile-an-hour road, we're doing 50, 45, and you know what? It's fun. The thing with 125s is you need to get flow. I don't know whether I mentioned this in videos before, possibly. It's all about flow for me. What? If you can keep your momentum up, get it smooth, get around the bends with a nice bit of flow, then even little bikes are very rewarding. And if you are a subscriber to my channel, which I sincerely hope you are, if you're not, click that button, you know you want to, then you will know that I love little bikes. I really do. I own a Super Cub 125 myself and a CRF 250. So when I say I really like small bikes, I'm not bullshitting you people. I'm being 100% honest. And at the moment, I'm loving this one as well. It has now suddenly come into its own, being a supermoto. It's loving these little bends. It really is. Out supermoto style. So handling, yeah, it's pretty good. That stiff suspension means it doesn't wallow or sag in the bends, which is nice. I mean, we haven't pushed it to within an inch of its life, but just for everyday quick riding for a 125, it feels pretty planted. That's a good thing. It fills you with confidence. I like that. I was expecting it to squirm and flex a little bit more than it does, especially with my big frame on it. But so far, I'm loving it. It's coming alive. I'm getting used to it. And this is what I'm saying about first impressions rides. They're great. They give you a little bit of an idea, but unless you have a bike for a long period of time, it's very hard to get on with that bike and tell you guys exactly what you really like and what you really don't. You really do get a first impression, especially with me, because I generally just throw the key in, go out for a ride and tell you what I think at the time. Don't plan it, no pre-scripting. The companies don't tell me what to say. I just say shit, basically. I just talk rubbish, as some of you may have noticed. But what I noticed about these gears as well is when you short shift, which I do quite a bit, It's very, very smooth. There's not a lot of torque low down, but it's very, very smooth in that early part of the rev range. So around town makes it quite pleasant. As I said before, it gives a little bit of a kick when you get higher in the rev range. Not smash you in the spine kick, but you certainly know where the power is on this bike. But that low down short shifting style makes it really nice around towns and villages. But if you do want the best of this bike, you've got to ride it like a 17-year-old. I think that's the key. I know it's designed for you youths out there, and if you ride it like basically ride it like you stole it, you'll get the most out of it. I'm not saying speed, I'm saying go like this to national speed limits where the speed limit is 60 miles an hour, and then you can cane it legally but still have fun. That's what I mean. I don't mean do stupid speeds in town. If you do, you're a pleb. Right, I've been on this bike now for probably about an hour. It's going to be around an hour now, maybe more. I'm kind of getting used to the seat. It's still uncomfortable, but it's a bearable uncomfortable at the moment. And as I said before, a little bit back in this video, hopefully by the end of the 2 weeks it'll bed in. I would have squashed it down enough to make the foam a little bit more supple. You're not going to buy this bike if you just need a bike to commute on to do the everyday stuff. You're going to buy this bike, one, because you like the look of it, and it does look bloody good, I have to say that, it does. And two, you want a supermoto, because there's not a lot of 125 supermotos out there. And three, you want to have a bit of fun. I mean, you can have fun on any bike. I've always said that over the years. People moan at me for saying it, but I'm saying it again. You can have fun on anything. It's all about a mindset. But this bike is designed to have fun. The way it's set up, the suspension, the tyres, the wheels, 17-inch wheels on a off-roady type frame is fun. If you've never ridden a supermoto in any guise, I suggest you do it. They are such a giggle, and this one's no different. It's just a little bit slower than the other supermotos that I've ridden. But as long as you've got momentum, it's still fun. Right, we are coming up to the cafe not long now. It's just up here somewhere. Right, Route 1066 Cafe. If you are down this way, check them out. They're pretty nice people, pretty good food, and they've got a shop, so you can do everything all under one roof. Right, so we're done. Route 1066 Cafe, Conqueror's Apparel, my boy here. We're just heading off now. I'm not going to do the walk around now, I'm going to do that a different day. But if you're ever down this way, check out Route 1066. Check out my boys here down in Conqueror's Apparel. You'll like it down here. And I'm going to take this little beauty back. We're going twisty roads. It's going to be fun. Let's get on and do it. Oh, feel the power. I'm going to head back now. I've got Kalimoto in my ear. We're going full twisty on the way back. These tyres are a company called Timson, which is not a company that's filling me with confidence, to be honest, especially when they're cold. They haven't done anything wrong. They're not stepping out or doing anything. It's just a psychological thing, I think. If I was to own this bike, judging on this first impressions, I would change the brake pads, maybe the discs. It's already got braided hoses, which is nice, but I just feel I want a little bit more feedback, especially from that front brake. Well, let's try and get some warmth into these bad boy little tyres, these Timsons. It is very manoeuvrable if you want to do that. A lot of people tell you it's flickable. Let's do this and tell you it's flickable. It's light, basically. It does handle quite well. It would handle a lot better on some sticky rubber. Right, what else can I tell you? It's very well balanced, I can tell you that. Nice and light, nice and manoeuvrable. Easy to get on with, light to move around if you want to manually move it around. It's pretty good for that. Right, but here we go, into the twisties, into these little back roads. It's very slippery, very greasy. It's cold today as well, so let's see what sort of fun we can have. Oh, bloody gravelly as well. Got to watch out for that on these country lanes. Very gravelly in the middle. Good fun though. Really, really good fun. Even though I'm not going fast, it feels like it with the effort I'm putting in. little 125s on country lanes. So much fun. Still a little bit greasy. Got to watch out for cars coming the other way. We haven't got it all to ourselves. But oh my god, what good fun this is. This is great fun. And that's what these little bikes are about. They're about fun. They're not about being serious. Okay, when you're young they are, because this is all you can get. You learn your craft on this. But us old folk, these little bikes, oh dear, brakes. Oh, it's a good laugh. It really is a good laugh. Got a little bit of drizzle coming down now. Foot out, supermoto style. Oh, this is a blast. It really is. This is fun. It's probably unfortunate that most of these bikes are going to spend their life in town posing in front of McDonald's. But get them out on these little back roads, even though they're slow, they really are fun. Oh, foot out again, bit of gravel in the road. Oh, if it wasn't for the gravel in the road, I wouldn't even have to brake for these corners. I mean, on the camera this is going to seem so slow, but in reality when you're perched on the bike it feels like you're just doing ballistic speeds, but you're not. It's great. What a blast. What an absolute blast. Nothing coming good. I need that momentum. Come on, you can do it. When you ride this bike up in the higher rev range, it really does come alive. It changes the bike. I mean, it's very, very docile when you short shift. I mean, very docile. But when you're ragging it a bit and you're pushing on, you can have some fun. You can have some real fun, because it hasn't got a fat back tyre. It's got a pretty skinny rear tyre. It means you can just throw it around. It really does do well, considering everything on this is bargain basement. It really does do a good job. Right, so we're running out of daylight, we're running out of weather. It's been raining, it's been awful, and I'm running out of battery on the GoPro. So what I'm going to do is end the video here before we get anywhere near to where I'm going to. So I'm just going to do a quick summary and tell you what I think about this bike on its first impression. And so far, so good. It's surprised me in a good way. It's good fun. It really is good fun. It's built down to a budget, granted, so it feels a little bit flimsy to the touch. I'm not saying the frame or the handling side of things. That feels pretty spot on, actually. Better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a lot weaker, a lot more flex in it, if that makes sense. But as a little supermoto, a little 125, it's pretty planted. I'm very impressed. I'm enjoying this quite a lot. Right, so the ergonomics of this, for me, are okay. They're not great, they're not bad, they are just about okay. I'm a big lad, this is quite a small supermoto. The seat is uncomfortable, but as I said before, hopefully that is going to bed in. The engine, it needs to be worked, but again it's a fresh unit, so that needs to bed in a little bit, but it's good. It's a good little lump. It's not going to set your world alight, but if you keep momentum, it's really good, paired with these 17-inch wheels and this suspension setup on this supermoto type bike. It's all about the corners, it's all about momentum, it's all about the flow, and for that it is really good. Even on these cheap tyres, it really is good. I haven't had it step out on me yet. I haven't pushed it to an inch of its life, but we haven't gone slow. Gearbox is bedding in nicely. It's a lot slicker than when I first got on it, so that holds a lot of promise for the future of this bike, that everything's going to bed in nicely. Brakes are probably the worst thing on this bike, especially the front. Very wooden, lacks quite a bit of feel, but again, I'm hoping that's going to bed in over the 2 weeks, and I'll give you my final conclusion on that again in 2 weeks time. But if you use it, sorry about that. That was a nerve-wracking moment, let's put it that way. I'll have to look back on the video to see whether they're on the phone, because I have no idea what they swerved towards me. Anyway, let's crack on back with where we were. What was I doing? The brakes. But you might be able to just change the front brake pads and get a bit more bite out of those, because 9 times out of 10 on cheaper bikes, it's just cheaper components. They have to cut the costs here and there to keep the price really low, to put it at such a great price. And it's little things like that, although they will do the job, and they do the job well. They stop the bike. That's what they're designed to do. They just don't do it with the amount of feel that I would like. But if you use them in conjunction with each other, like the front and the rear together, which I do quite a lot of front and then a bit of back, then they work pretty well. They do stop you. And you've got to remember, I'm 18 stone, so I'm not exactly the demographic that this bike was aimed for. So all in all, basically, I think I've covered it all. All in all, pleasantly surprised. The more I ride it, the more I like it. And that's a good thing, because there are some bikes that I get on, the more I ride them, the more I don't want to ride them, if that makes sense. But this one is growing on me in the fun sense. I'm absolutely having a ball. I'm enjoying this. The weather is pretty crap at the moment. It's just stopped raining, but the roads are greasy, it's cold, but I've still got a smile on my face, so that says a lot about this bike. So on that note, I will end the video here. Don't forget to go downstairs to the descriptions box, where I shall leave the full specifications for this bike. I shall also leave the link to Sinnis motorcycles and On the Wheel, so make sure you go and check those guys out as well. For myself, you know how it goes. Don't forget to subscribe, to like, to share, to do all those things that you need to do. Also hit that notification bell so you guys can get the drop on these videos. I shall see you on the next one. You know I love you all. Stay safe. Fish out.
Get all your bags, get out my house. I don't want your stuff around. I never did you wrong, but you did me wrong, so go ahead, get gone. Get all your bags, get out my house. I don't want your stuff around. I never did you wrong, but you did me wrong, so go ahead and get gone.